As time has gone on at Berry, we've become a very technology-driven oil and gas company. Very much so, particularly given our size. We're not a large company. But we've taken on technology application to get more oil out of the ground, to really fuel our organic growth, and really enables us to take on the production of the difficult barrel. A large part of my career in the oil and gas business was in technology and R&D. And as such, we know a lot of people outside of Berry who have access to leading edge technology or know how to apply leading edge technology, and we rely quite heavily on external suppliers to bring a technological edge to Berry. While most people think of technology now, they think hydraulic fracturing, and we do our share of hydraulic fracturing in the Permian and the Uinta, but in our heavy oil operations, it's much broader than that. We've built real-time knowledge management systems. We've automated our operations with new controls. We do a lot of modeling, reservoir simulation, geomechanical modeling. We make new direct measurements using microseismic and tilt meter surveys. But the real key to that is making them work together. So any one of those by themselves are not that important, but collectively all 25 of them in an integrated package make a difference. And that's the oil field story. You know, everybody thinks it's the silver bullet. It's not the silver bullet. It's doing 100 things better every day. And then you look up and say, what a breakthrough we've made. It just generally takes you 2, 3, 4, 5 years to make that breakthrough. Lots of different steps, lots of different partners to make that happen, and cultivating the know-how in the company. A lot of companies don't have the patience, don't have the wherewithal to do that. So you have to cultivate it, and it becomes an important part of your competency set. And as such, it gives you something that few others can do. The energy business, just like most businesses, is about risk management. We keep our eyes up on those risks. We always work hard on managing our commodity risk. We are significant hedgers. We'll typically go into a year with about 70% of our production hedged. I think more than just the commodity itself, it's the volatility of the commodity which causes problems. So when you go into a year, commodity's high and it drops, you know you have to pull back on your growth. On the other hand, when you go into a year when a commodity's low, and then you can take advantage of higher prices through the years, just how quickly can you respond? So it's difficult to have a nice continuous capital investment profile if prices are going to be volatile. And I expect they are going to be volatile. We're seeing record production in the United States. Oil production in the U.S. today is probably as high as it's been since the mid-1980s. I think the world is assuming that the growth outside the U.S. for demand will absorb a lot of those incremental barrels. We'll see. I think we could see softer prices for a period, only to, as growth responds, demand responds, only to see prices move up again. And so that's really the issue in trying to plan for your business, is how do you manage that? Political front, while we would always say it's always something we have to be aware of, obviously we're operating in the United States, so our political risks are much lower than most international players. Global economy is always a risk. We saw what happened in 08. Oil prices went from 100 to 140 in 6 months, and they went from 140 to 40 in the next 6 months. So if we see another collapse in the global economy, it has a major impact on this business. You want to plan for it, you want to try to offset it, you want to try to mitigate it, be able to manage through it, but you know, you got to learn the lessons of 08 and make sure you're ready to apply them in 14, 15, 16. You cannot run these businesses without thinking about what's the upside, what's the downside, what are we going to try to deliver, and how quickly can we, make a right turn if conditions warrant it. When it comes to government regulation, it's about balance. So, the government has a responsibility to protect the environment. They have a responsibility to set safe guidelines for operating. They have a responsibility to be able to, for the industry to be able to develop in a responsible way. And we ascribe to all those values. What we think of when we think about interacting with government regulators is we like to be proactive in our approach. We don't like to sit back in our chair and say the government has done something and it causes us not to be able to be successful. We want to be out in front. We want to have a dialogue. We want to pursue joint problem solving because we think that's the fastest way, that's the fairest way. We think that's the way it generates the most value for our shareholders. We think if we work with the regulator, we have a better chance of succeeding with the regulator.